Now here is a monster who looks like a scarer.
Before the film you see is up on the big screen. There's an interesting stage in the filmmaking process where the story is told through color and light.
So a film usually comes with a script, lots of dialogue, lots of storytelling, but what we need on our end is visual scripts. We need a vehicle to help us understand how to translate the script into a movie.
This film has a lot of highs and lows, emotional highs and lows, and we wanted to really use light and color to illustrate that. We start with just a pure exploratory illustrations. Just like a children's book, you start illustrating some of the story ideas that the director has or some of the story scenes that they put in the scene. Just trying to capture the feeling of the film in general. And then you combine those paintings and start kind of mapping them as a whole and see how they complement each other to support the whole story.
The first time you see it realized in the color script, I always feel like is the first time you see the emotional possibilities of it. You see it as an emotional image, and you see whether it's dramatic or funny or sweet, you see those choices being made, and it really shows the potential of the scene.
You know, story has dark moments and positive moments. This is sort of like a darkest moment before they get to the climax, you know, before the success. You know, funny moments and serious moments, you have to contrast. So it's the same thing visually. In color and lighting, we try to contrast.
A frame of the color script will be a very loose painting. That's basically the blueprint of how to light the shot. So the lighters will take it, and then they'll make decisions from the color script that there should be moonlight coming in. They'll be able to infer the direction of the light from the color script, and basically the goal is to achieve the lighting of the color script.
This is what it's going to be. This is the plan for it. This is what it will feel like. In animation, you don't walk into a room that's lit and ready to go and start performing. You're always using your imagination. Can't go back to jail! And then goes forward. And you're always pretending there's lighting there, pretending there's a person there, pretending there's something there. And when you look at that tiny little thumbnail of a color script sketch, it's the first time you feel like that is what it's gonna look like.
Stay out of my way.
The story centers on the rivalry between two characters, and then you have to come up with, in lighting, with tools to figure out how to separate those two characters. And light in general and shadow is a fantastic tool to do that.
Throughout the film, you'll see characters making major decisions and stepping in and out of the light. They're making a change.
And what we wanted to do between the two characters, whenever they were in conflict, they were in two different lighting scenarios. If one was in light, the other monster was in shadows. And whenever they came together, they stepped into light or in shadow.
Even when we were still designing the character of Hardscrabble, we always said she's gonna be backlit. Hardscrabble being the main obstacle in this story for Mike to become a scarer, right? So if you notice, she's almost entirely backlit, like rimlit. She's intimidating, she's imposing, and she's scary.
Stop. Thank you.
But I didn't get to...
I've seen enough.
Mike believes he's a scarer. We know he's not. And we wanted to create this environment that is extremely frightening to him because he's testing himself. It is at that moment that we take the human world and we drain all the color from it. It almost had the feeling of a horror movie. In the cabin, it's a fairly dark environment, and the only light sources at this point are rangers with their flashlights. We wanted to reveal ever so little of what's happening in the set, but we didn't want to let the rangers realize that there were two monsters hiding in there. At the same time, whenever the monsters were looking at the rangers, they were all obscured by their bright flashlights and couldn't tell who or how many they were. So this was a great example of working with animation over many months on the choreography of the lights.
You had to sort of coordinate with other departments to make sure it's not just the color and lighting independently, but also working together with designs and camera and so on.
None of these are things you'll notice the first time through, but you'll feel them.
It's all about emotion. We wanted to make sure the audience feels how Mike and Sally feel in the environment. You know, I choke up sometimes in lighting reviews and just how amazingly they were able to capture those moments that we always talked about. And they make it better.